Okay, now it's 9:04, so we want to say good afternoon, everyone. You are welcome between us. We want to say most welcome to Miss Monica Mullholland, right?
Yep,
Okay,
Mullholland.
okay, Mullholland. We are so glad that you are between us, and we are so excited to listen to your workshop. I want to make the intro about the workshop and to talk a little bit about Miss Monica. So the workshop is how can we help our brain learn more effectively. So during the last several decades, scientific research has shown that learning occurs when the brain is prepared for it, just like a seed grows when the soil is fertile and welcoming. This workshop offers an array of activities and perspectives that enhance the brain's learning capacities. It draws from the theory of multiple intelligence, the realm of creativity, and the field of mindfulness. I want to thank Miss Monica so much because of this interesting topic. I want to present her in some words. Monica Mulholland, it's a PhD, is a language professor and coach with over 30 years of experience in Argentina and the USA. She holds an MA in foreign languages, a graduate certificate in TESOL, George Mason University, Virginia, and a PhD in Spanish literature, the Catholic University of America. In 2019, Monica was honored to receive the Excellence in Teaching Award from the Greater Washington Association of Teachers of Foreign Languages. Additionally, she is a registered yoga teacher, and that's what I like it so much, and is passionate about whole person approach to teaching and learning. She incorporates breathing techniques and subtle body movement in her language classes, which has been immensely helpful to her students, especially during the challenging time of COVID-19. We are so glad that you are between us, Miss Monica. We are all ears, and the floor is yours. Go on.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you very much, everybody. Welcome to this workshop. I'm so happy, so thrilled to be here with you all. I know it's late at night in both of the places where you live. So thank you so much for taking the time of your Saturday night. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about the brain and how we can help our brain learn better. My idea is that since we are at an early age, we start going to school because our parents want us to go to school, and then we keep learning and learning, but we don't really stop and think, how is it that we learn? So today I'm hoping to give you a few tools that you can use for yourself and also with your students if you're educators. I know that most of you are translators. You can use these techniques in any environment, but most especially if you're teaching with students any age. Okay, let me share my screen. Can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's brain-based education. Currently, I'm teaching high school at Colorado Early Colleges in Fort Collins, Colorado. I teach English, Spanish, and mindfulness. So a lot of ideas, a lot of practice with teenage students, but I also teach little ones and adults as well. I have created Transformations, Languages and Coaching, which is a small company to help other teachers and professionals in general use their creative powers, especially through mindfulness and creativity techniques. And then recently, I have graduated as a yoga teacher with my first 200 hours. So I also develop programs and teach yoga, including children. The goals for this session are, we're going to examine the fundamentals of brain education and their application in the classroom or in life in general. We're going to experiment with brain-friendly activities, and then we're going to have time for questions and answers. Okay. Before we begin, I would like you to write down your stress level from what you think right now. How stressed out or relaxed do you think you are? On a scale from 1 to 10. 1 would be really relaxed, like this monk here in the mount, like a monk in the mount. Are you really relaxed? Or the other extreme, really stressed out, would be Tony the Tiger, and any number in between. So give yourself a number from 1 to 10 to document your stress levels right now. This is just for you. You're not going to share. And also writing, since we're talking about being stressed out or not, I would like you to write, can you learn or teach when you are stressed out? Again, can you learn or teach or do pretty much anything else when you are stressed out? How can you find out if your students are stressed out? And the last question is, what can you do if you realize your students or maybe family members are stressed out or apathetic? What can you do to help their stress levels? And I'm going to give you 2 minutes to think about these 3 questions. Can you learn or teach or function in general when you're stressed out? How can you find out if somebody else is stressed out? And the last question is, what can you do if the people around you are stressed out and you want to help them out? This is for you to think and write down, not necessarily share. So this is more like a self-study. One more minute. All right. I'm going to answer the first question myself. When I'm really stressed out, it's very hard for me to learn, to teach, or to do pretty much anything else. If I'm driving on the street and I have a cop's car behind me, I get so stressed out that I cannot even find my ID to show them. So in any other situation of very high stress, at least for my brain, it's very difficult to function and to do things that I would normally do without any trouble. It's like that stress is hijacking my brain. Probably you wrote something similar in your reply. The next question was, how can you find out if your students or the people around you, if you're not a teacher, how can you know if they're stressed out? There are different tools. For example, this tool is called the stoplight check-in. So the people around you, maybe your students, will stop what they're doing to check in how they're feeling. If it's a red, this is like a traffic light, right? If they mention red, it means that they're feeling rough, lethargic, struggling. So it can be any reason, but this is too much stress, not feeling good, feeling rough. Lethargic, just in case you're not familiar with this term, is that you don't feel like doing anything. You just want to sit down or to lie down, stay in the couch all day. Oops, lethargic. And struggling, when we find it difficult. So that would be the stoplight in red. In the middle, it would be we're experiencing highs and lows equally. So sometimes good, sometimes not so good. That would be the yellow light. And the green light is a positive one, is when we're feeling great and hopeful and optimistic. So this is one way to check in. If you're a teacher, you can check in with your students, or maybe you do an activity with other professionals in any situation where you find, okay, let's do the stop check-in. So to start talking about these feelings. And this originates from a graph. The original one is from the Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence. This is the center in the Yale University who created this mood meter. It's a way of thinking about and placing how you're feeling at a certain time. It has a lot of possibilities here. So depending on what you want to do, you would use more or less of these. For example, for children, this one is really useful because it has emojis. So these first two would be would be not so good, right? Your mood is sort of down. I don't like the term negative because it's just a feeling. It's neither negative or positive. It's just how you're feeling. So instead of negative, positive, we say low pleasantness. It doesn't give you much pleasure. Or high pleasantness. It gives you a lot of pleasure. And in both cases, you can have low energy or high energy. For example, you can be tired. Maybe you're not feeling so good, you're feeling tired, but the energy is low. Also, you're feeling really frustrated. The feeling is not giving you a lot of pleasure, but you're really angry. So this would be the red, frustrated, nervous. So we have different emojis, different ways to talk about feelings. For adults, this one, and I've used these a lot with my university students, a lot of feelings here. These are good conversations to have, because in a lot of the cultures in the world, we don't talk a lot about feelings. And we don't realize that we all have feelings, and our feelings are up and down most of the time, and it happens to everyone. And when we get so frustrated, sometimes we feel it's just us, and we identify with that feeling. We stop being the person to become the feeling. So the number one thing is to identify that feeling. to talk about it if you're in a social or educational situation, and then to do something if you want to change that state. Why do I think it's so important to talk about this? Well, I'm originally from Argentina, but I've been living in the United States for almost 20 years. So most of my research in psychology is from the United States. And the numbers here are pretty worrying, pretty scary, I would say. For example, at age 6 is the median age of onset for anxiety disorders. Really young children start having anxiety, even in elementary school. And by the way, I was one of those kids. I developed my anxiety, my own anxiety, I believe at the age of 7. I remember exactly how it developed. It was related to elementary school. Then a little later, when kids start high school here, age 13, it's when they start having different mood disorders, not only anxiety, but other mood disorders, including depression. A little later, at age 15, is the median age of onset for substance abuse. So when the teenagers start using drugs or alcohol to sort of counteract the feelings of loneliness, depression, anxiety. 1 in 5 youth, 1 in 5 young people in the United States will experience a mental disorder at some point in their life. And these are the people who have been diagnosed. There are a lot of others that are not diagnosed. So this is the minimum, 1 in 5. It's a lot. And because I have worked at the university level and the high school level for a long time, almost 30 years, I have encountered so many cases in which mental health is an issue that I really want to devote the rest of my life to help, especially this age group. What are the causes of stress? Well, the causes of stress are many. There are multiple. I have just a few that I thought of. For example, those that are deeply rooted, especially in childhood. For example, when children suffer from trauma of any type, maybe they lost somebody at a very young age, or there was an accident in the family, or they experience abuse. So any kind of trauma, neglect, when they are neglected in their families. There is also a biological component that has to do with genetic predisposition and the biochemical in their brain. There's a biochemical imbalance in their brain. So what happens when there is this imbalance? Well, there's not enough serotonin or norepinephrine in the brain, and that causes mood swings, and the ability of sleeping is diminished. And there's too much cortisol, and cortisol is a stress hormone. So a lot of biochemical imbalances can really cause stress. And also there are environmental factors. For example, in losing a loved one, or a situation in the city where they're living is also causing stress. Maybe job instability from the parents, anything that is around them, that is the environment. And also I wanted to share this quote by Dr. Thomas Lewis, that love deprivation is a cause of stress. Love and the lack of it change a young brain forever. It is said that young babies, when they're not loved, when they're not held by their loved ones, they can even die. So it's love is a very strong component. So those categories are important, but there are also categories, there are also activities that we can prevent, especially as parents, because we see, at least in the West, and I imagine that in areas where you're living as well, but what we experience here in the West is that the kids have such full agendas, right? They have to get up real early. I had students who got up at 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the morning to go to swimming lessons, for example. So pre-dawn, they get up before the sun comes out. Very early in the morning, then they have 6 hours or more of schoolwork. Then they have after school activities. Teenagers have jobs. And then they have to eat dinner at the last minute and rush through it, do homework when they're really sleepy, and they go late to bed, sorry. So these are things that we experience here in the United States and definitely in Argentina, probably where you're living as well. And why are we trying to work with these, with stress? Why? Because as teachers or as parents or caregivers, the calmer we are as individuals, the calmer they will be. They being children, students, co-workers. So our mood is contagious. We need to work with ourselves and others as well, but it starts with us, right? The effects of stress. Well, we cannot learn. That was our first question. We cannot learn well when we are stressed out. It hinders learning. It makes us more reactive. We want to react instead of respond. It interferes in the creation of strong relationships with our students or children. And it also depletes our body, our mind, and our emotions. Stress is a contributing factor to create disease. So if you look at this number here, between 75 and 90% of chronic illnesses have a lifestyle or stress component. So lifestyle, for example, these factors here, getting up so early, having very long school days, doing a million activities before and after school, this is a lifestyle cause. And that can very well cause disease. Why? What happens in our body that it becomes sick with stress? Well, when we are stressed out, our body's sympathetic nervous system is triggered, will act. The sympathetic nervous system is this one here on the left. And this is activated in the presence of fear, of stress in general. And it causes us to fight, to be really aggressive, to flight, to run away, or to freeze. We don't do anything. We're paralyzed. How does this happen, or how is this manifested in our body? Well, the pupils in our eyes, they expand. Then we breathe in a very shallow way up to here, like this, right? You breathe in just using the upper part of your lungs, very shallowly and fast. The heart pumps very fast. And then our pressure goes up, of course. And our gut, our stomach is inactive. Why? Because the blood goes to all other areas to find stress and it leaves the digestive organs. So that's why we get a stomach ache when we are nervous, probably before a test, right? On the other hand, the other nervous system, and these two are part of the autonomous nervous system, A and S. They're both the nervous system, but it has two parts, sympathetic, more stressed, and parasympathetic, which is calmer. And it is the one that is activated when we are calm. It helps us think more clearly, make decisions, take the initiative, rest, and digest. And how do we experience that in our body? Well, the pupils shrink. We breathe more deeply. We're going to do breathing activities. Our heart slows down, and then our gut, our stomach is more active, and we can digest better. Sounds good? So far, so good? If anything is confusing, you can write your questions on the chat and we'll talk when we finish. And then how do we see this manifested in a classroom or with our own kids? Well, the kids start acting up, right? Their behavior probably is not the best, but we need to know that the behavior, it could be a result of trauma in their childhood. They can show you with their behavior more than they can show you with words. So whenever we have kids that are acting up, that they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, we need to explore that rather than reprimand that. That's why I like this movement of mindfulness so much, because it has been proved that this behavior does not improve no matter how many times we send the kid to the principal's office. But if we work with them with mindfulness, with breathing techniques and things like that, we can really help them, not at that moment only, but for the rest of their lives. Great, and how can we do this? Well, my proposal is that we incorporate stress management programs in schools and families, and jobs as well, companies in general. What is this? Well, we need to incorporate compassion and mindfulness. This is my field of devotion. I really work a lot on compassion and mindfulness training. We practice compassion and mindfulness towards ourselves and others. And then the learners and their needs are first, not so much to cover everything that we have to cover for a certain curriculum at the expense of the kids, but put them in the foreground first. Also work on engagement. What can we do for students to really want to be there, to really want to learn and to pay attention? Another component is to make our approach as multisensory as possible. How can we include the 5 senses? I'm gonna stop sharing here for a little bit. Okay, and I would like to ask you, just take a moment and look around and think about 2 things that you can see. 2 things that you can see. 2 things that you can smell. You can write it on your notebook. if you'd like. Two things that you can touch. We're talking about incorporating a multi-sensory approach, not only in teaching, but also with our families. So two things we can hear, two things we can hear, two things we can see, two things we can smell. Two things we can feel with our hands, two things we can touch. Great. So the research in mindfulness is telling us that when we use this type of techniques, okay, let's focus. Mindfulness, by the way, is focusing on the here and now without judging. So this technique of being in touch with our senses, the five senses at a certain moment, is definitely bringing us to the here and now, because we are smelling now, we're listening now, we're touching now. So it helps us ground. It helps us not start thinking about the past or anticipating the future, but staying in the here and now. So that is a simple technique that you can use for yourself when you feel very agitated or too anxious about the future or worried about something that you did or happened in the past. Okay, I'm going to sit and do the 5 sense meditation. That could help. Great. And also, I also like to incorporate the multiple intelligences theory, which was put forward by Howard Gardner in the 70s. So this theory has been going on for a long time, but studies are done every day at Harvard University, even nowadays. So it's growing and growing in research and tools. And for those of you who are not very familiar with this theory, is Howard Gardner's definition of intelligence is the ability to solve problems and or to create something new. And this is different from the IQ tests. The IQ tests only measure logical, mathematical, verbal, and some visual with geometry. But he says, well, our problems can be of many types, and our creations can be of many types, and all of those have to be considered intelligence, not just mathematical problems or the ability with words. So he put forward this notion of 8 intelligences: logical, mathematical, yes, still there. Verbal, linguistic, yes, it's still here. But look, also musical is part of the intelligence. Before it used to be, well, he's a musician. We didn't think of that person as intelligence. But now, thanks to this movement, we're including musical ability in the definition of intelligence. Visual, spatial, which has to do with painting, drawing, of course, sculpture, but also your ability to be situated in a new location. You get to a new city, can you know, for example, how to read? Do you know how to read a map? Or how do the different highlights in the place help you find your way? That has to do with visual, and spatial comes from space, intelligence. Kinesthetic has to do with movement. So athletes would be in this category, dancers, choreographers, yoga teachers, and practitioners. That's part of the intelligence too. Intrapersonal. Intra is knowing yourself. knowing yourself, stopping and thinking about how you're doing, about your goals. Interpersonal has to do with relating to other people. And natural, the natural intelligence was added later. At the beginning, it was only these 7. And then a decade or so later, the natural intelligence, taking care of our environment and our beautiful planet Earth, was included as an intelligence. So these are tools that we can use not only in our classroom, but with our family as well. How many of these am I including in the teaching of kids, students in general, or how I am learning these to become a more skillful individual? Great. Now we're going to do a little practice. For example, some yoga stretches and breathing exercise. Do you like the idea? Ready? Okay. Great. First, we're going to do some neck stretches. If you're sitting on a computer too long, we have our neck and shoulders and upper back very stiff. I know I do. And I get headaches a lot when I work at the computer for long hours. So these are some yoga stretches that you can do. For example, we're going to twist to the right. So do it with me. If you're sitting on a chair, make sure that your feet are parallel on the ground. So really root from your feet. Feel that all that energy is coming from the earth, wherever you're sitting, from the soles of your feet all the way up through your legs and the rest of your body. So the posture is very important. Your back is separated from the back of the chair, so you can hold yourself up. And then shoulders relaxed away from your ears. And we're going to twist to the right. Look at the wall that you have to the side. Breathe in the center and twist to the left. One more on each side. Breathe in the center, twist to the right. Breathe in the center, twist to the left. Great. Now we're going to tilt our ear. Tilt like this. The ear goes to your shoulder, not the shoulder to your ear, the ear to the shoulder. So again, we breathe in the middle and we tilt to the right. Okay, and we feel the extension and the relaxation on the left shoulder and neck. Breathe in center, tilt to the left. Breathe in center, once again, to the right. Breathe in through your nose, center, and tilt to the left. Great. The last exercise for our neck is extension and flexion. And it's like that. We extend when we look up and back. Extend our neck, and then we flex forward. The chin goes to your chest. So again, we breathe in the center, extend to the back, exhale, inhale in the center, flex, and exhale. Inhale center, exhale back, inhale center, exhale down. Great, I hope that helped, and I hope those stress numbers are going down. Now for shoulder rolls. Okay, we can do right and left. So we can roll our shoulder, our right shoulder left, our left shoulder backwards, and the left shoulder backwards. So we really relax all the area of the shoulders and neck. And also we make our brain think more and use both hemispheres when we are focusing on right and left. And we can do one and the other, one and the other, one and the other. And now we can be more pronounced. So bigger circles. Are you doing it with me? Backwards, forwards. And now with your left, big circles backwards, big circle forward. Great. And now to really work both sides of the brain and to really strengthen the corpus callosum, which is right in the middle of the both hemispheres, to strengthen that connection, we're going to move both shoulders at the same time and in different directions. So for example, the right shoulder goes back and the left shoulder goes forward. And that can be confusing, but that is really good because we are activating both hemispheres. The muscles can get confused, and that is good because when they get confused, that means that there is new learning. It's like brushing your teeth with your non-dominant hand. If we always do it with one hand, there's no learning. The brain has been doing it forever. But one day we try with the other hand, so we create more neural pathways. Another way to activate both hemispheres is by crossing both sides, lateral crossing. For example, you take your right hand and you put it on your left knee, and the left hand, you put it behind. And then you twist, 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 twist. This is good for the muscles because they're stretching, and it's also good for the brain because you're doing cross-lateral learning. Let's do it on the other side. Your left hand goes on your right knee, and your right hand goes behind it, your back, and twist your back. Twist, twist, twist. You twist your shoulder backwards, and your side goes behind that shoulder and back. Great. Can you do it on your own? On each side, always breathing in and out through your nose, creating new pathways in your brain. Excellent. Now I want to focus on deep breathing. Deep breathing is a safe and fast way to relieve stress. We also boost digestion because, as we saw on the drawing before, if we're too stressed out, the blood doesn't go to our digestive system. So if we calm down, we can digest better. We boost our digestion. We can balance our energy. So if we are too agitated, we can calm down. And if we are lethargic, we don't feel like doing anything, we can feel more energized. That means to balance your energy. And you can also improve your sleep and connect with the here and now. Ready for some breathing exercises? All right. The balancing breathing is, as I told you, if you are too agitated or anxious, you calm down. If you're lethargic, you don't feel like doing anything, you get energized. And the way to do it is, the rate is 4 to 6 breaths per minute, which is half the speed in which we typically breathe. Typically, we breathe at 10 or 12 breaths per minute. So we breathe very fast and very shallow up to here. With this balancing breath, we breathe in more slowly, half as slowly. Okay, so we inhale in 4 counts and we exhale in 4 counts. Does it make sense? We'll do it in a second. These practices can be done at any time, day and night. You can use it before high stress meetings, tests, presentations. You can use it if you're feeling sluggish, lethargic, and you can use it before or during low intensity exercise. If you're doing high intensity exercise like jogging or running or weightlifting, then you will need to breathe more. You would have to breathe faster. But this is for things like yoga, for example, or walking. And it's definitely safe to use in the classroom or at the office. So let's do it. I have this ball here, which is called a Hoberman sphere. And again, we look at our posture, right? We look at our feet on the ground, grounded, and our back is erect but relaxed, and the shoulders are away from our ears. Not like this, down, shoulders down. So when I open the ball, you are going to inhale through your nose, bringing all the air down to your abdomen. So this will be an abdomen breath. Okay, so I'm gonna open the ball, and then when I shrink it, when I make it smaller, you're going to exhale through your nose again. Balancing breaths, 4 and 4. So 4 inhales and 4 exhales. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold for a minute, for a second. Exhale, pushing the air from your abdomen, making your belly button kiss your spine. So bring your belly in. 2, 3, 4. We can also call it belly breath. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Pause. Exhale. 2, 1. One more time. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Pause. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. If you don't have this ball, it's not a problem. You can use your hand. Let's try it, everybody, with your hands. Let's try it. Let's try with your hands. Let's see if I can see you on camera, perhaps. Can you turn your cameras on and we can do it? Okay. So we start here. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Pause. Pausing is very important. Pause. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. One more time. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Pause. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. One more activity that I have for balancing is this infinity symbol. This is easy to make on a piece of paper on a board. And you start from here. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. One more time. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. This can be done with this graph, but it can also be done with your hand. You stretch out a hand and your thumb. Your thumb should be right in front of your eyes. And then you do the infinity symbol, or you can also call it a sleepy 8, because it's like a number 8 upside down, right? Sleepy 8. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 4. Beautiful. 3, 2, 1. I do this with my students a lot. In high school, in college, even with coworkers. I used to work at a company a couple of years ago to design programs, English and Spanish programs, and we had breaks. And once a week, the company offered meditation breaks. So we would listen to meditation, we would do these type of exercises. So this is not only for school, it's also for your home and for companies. Okay. Okay, here's a cool one I have. I know we are running out of time, but we don't have much more. We're doing good with time, but I want to share this one. It's hot chocolate breath. And it depends on the weather, right? If it's too hot, probably you don't want to suggest hot chocolate. You can suggest ice cream breath or something like that. So the idea is to have something in your hands. It could be imaginary or a real drink. And then we're going to smell it. We're going to smell the chocolate. And then we are going to blow. So now is inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth as you are blowing off the tea, the hot tea or the coffee or milk, anything you would like them to work with. These are very adaptable to every situation. It can be water, it can be tea, it can be milk. And it's very relaxing. 4 counts are very, very relaxing. It can also be done with a candle, an imaginary candle. So suppose you use 2 fingers, these 2 fingers, the index and the middle finger, you put them right in front of your mouth. You inhale through your nose and exhale. You want to flicker the candle. You don't want to put it out. So you exhale very gently. One more time, inhale through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. Yeah, and the candle flickers a little. And the third time, we're going to put the candle out. So big, strong exhale. So that's fun for kids and teenagers too. Excellent. Well, I showed you the Hoberman sphere. It's this one. There are different sizes. This is the big one. I got the large one, but there are smaller ones. But again, if you cannot get a hold of these, you can just use your hands. Then this is the lazy 8 or infinity symbol that we used. one more thing that I use in my classes is the mind jar or mindfulness jar. So it's any jar like this one, full of water, and then you have glitter. Now, our minds sometimes are very busy, right? And look at what happens with our minds. Full of ideas, worries, anxiety about what's going to happen. Can we see clearly? Probably not. It's very blurry. But if we take a few breaths, see, the water starts to clear and our thoughts settle. The thoughts are still there, but we have time and energy to think more clearly. So this is the mindful jar, also called the mind jar, that you can make yourself. Easy to make. Okay. On your notebook, I would like you to list a few examples or instances of what we did in this session today. I talked about compassion and mindfulness. How was that represented during the workshop? How did I share with you examples of compassion and mindfulness in this workshop? I also told you that in order for our brain to learn effectively, we need to make our teaching engaging. Can you tell me a few instances of engagement in this session? I also told you that our brain learns better when it is exposed to multisensory techniques. What are some examples that I shared with you that are multisensory, that we use the 5 senses? And the last idea was to incorporate the theory of multiple intelligences. How have we used this today? I'll give you a few minutes for you to think about that. We started our session by thinking about our stress levels. And I asked you to please rate yourself. Are you calm as a monk in the mountains? Or are you stressed out as Tony the Tiger? Or anywhere in between? How about now? Did you notice any changes in your stress levels? I'll share with you the presentation and you have the references that I used to prepare for this workshop. And then maybe you want to take a picture of this. This is how you can get in touch with me through email. I also have a website, a YouTube channel, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. So I hope we can stay connected. And if you can unmute yourself, or maybe type in the chat, any of the realizations, anything that you wrote about that last slide, about how I used all of my own suggestions in this workshop.
Okay, thank you so much, Monica, for this really a fruitful workshop.
Thank you.
I like it so much, and I see the others have the same impression. We think we need it. We need it. To work on it. Okay. I want to say for the others that the workshop will be on the YouTube as soon as possible on our channel. We are so glad that you are between us, and we are so happy that we have attended this workshop. We have someone who wants to ask something. It's Kubla. You can open your okay. I opened your mic, Kubla.
Hello.
Hi.
Yes.
Yes. It was very actually helpful. And yeah, I'm a teacher also at the university, and I feel like I can also use these kind of techniques with my students from time to time because you know, like the situation itself in Yemen is not that pleasant. So students in universities are very stressed out. So yes, so
Mhm.
these ones, since we have tried these ones now with you, I and my sister also in the same Zoom meeting, we tried them together, and they were very helpful. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you, Kobla, for sharing.
Yes,
Thank you so
I really
much.
liked it. Thank you
Thanks a
so much.
lot.
Yes. I by the way, I have translate like I was a translator for mental health sessions for like about 100 hours with
Wow.
people. Yes, so yes, I've done a lot of deep breathing and like imagery, visual imageries, and
Mm-hmm.
yes, relaxations, hours of relaxation, and they are very, very useful. People they need to know these things. So I
Thank you,
really thank you for
Kobla.
having these things. Yes,
Thank you. I really,
most
really
welcome.
appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And I
Thank
really
you.
like thank Translators Union for all of these sessions
Thank
that they
you.
give us. Thank you so much.
Yeah, great job.
Thank you. Anyone wants to ask something to Miss Monica? You can raise your hand.
Some people
Yes,
noted
Noor.
that their stress test, they're a lot calmer now after the activities. I'm glad to hear that.
Yes. Yes, Miss Noor.
Hi,
Hi.
thank you for this amazing webinar. It was helpful in many ways. But I still have a question to Ms. Monica about, she
Yeah.
said something about identifying our own anxiety patterns, be it in our childhood or in our teenage years. Could you tell us how can we do this? Like, how could I possibly detect that? Because I think and I believe all of us had this kind of patterns, but we don't know they're there for sure. We just we live with them, but we don't know them.
Yeah. Well, my experience is that by being exposed to this and being able to stop and think and take a few minutes every day to do mindfulness meditation, then you can start to study yourself. We do a lot of self-study, and then things start to become clear to you. Because what happens is, in many cases, children are not giving the opportunity, the space, the time to talk about all this. But either if it's for yourself, Noor, or for somebody you're working with, just the practice to stop, meditate for a little bit, do some relaxation and breathing, you will start to join the dots. Oh, maybe I'm feeling like this because this and this and that. For example, when I was a young girl, I believe I was 7 years old. I was so stressed out one day, and I have the clear mental picture of that day. I was in bed, my mom was by my side, and I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to go to school because I was not able to memorize the multiplication tables. And I felt that I couldn't do it. I was so anxious. My mom had to go and talk to the teacher and said, look, she's been studying. She just can't remember. And I remember, and I now as an adult, because you don't realize these things when you're a kid, when you're 7 years old, but later on, when I started to study myself and delve into all this information, I said, oh yeah, that's when my anxiety started, and it was with me throughout my life. I've been studying all my life. I'm 59 years old and I'm still studying. Every time before an exam, I have anxiety. So it originated when I was 7 with the multiplication tables for some reason. And now it's good to know because I can manage that through breathing and relaxation. Thank you, Noor, for your question.
Thank you for your answer. So you, so it could be related to our lives, and it can start with a minor accident or incident.
Yeah, well, it can start with anything, but the sooner you start with kids to make all this available for them to start thinking about, the better. I teach yoga, and when kids are really small, they practice with the parents. It's called yoga and me, or mommy or parent and me yoga. So they start learning when they're even 2 years old, and then 4 years old or 6 years old. So when you start really young, for example, yoga kids, kids for yoga, yoga for kids for that age, the teacher starts asking questions like, oh, how do you feel today? Maybe you show them all those pictures that we talked about at the beginning. So make talking about their feelings something natural, something that they shouldn't feel bad about.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Excuse me, Ms. Monica, just I want to say a few words.
Absolutely.
For everybody who attend this session, we already put the link for registering their name and address, email address, in order to send them certificate for their attending the session. Please, all of you, make sure that you fill your right name and right email address, and we will send you the certificate tomorrow or after tomorrow. The link is already okay, and a lot of people put their names. Please don't share this link with any groups. It's just for you. Thank you so much, Ms. Monica.
Thank you, everybody. It was such a pleasure to be here. I admire your dedication and hard work.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Noor.
I just want to say about the link. We don't have Google Sheets, so is it okay if we write the names in the comments?
It's okay. No problem. Just write it down, and I will put it.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You are welcome.
Jamal?
Yes, Jamal.
Yes. First of all, I would like to thank you for this amazing, and really I love this workshop very much.
Oh,
I appreciate that a lot, because you gave us a very important information to know.
Thank you.
And I would like to say that this medication or something like that are very, very important. And I actually use it when I have an exam or something like that. So yeah, it's totally beneficial. And thank you another time for being here. It's such a pleasure for us.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Monica. For you have to ask the others. Yes, Jamal. Do you want to say something else? Okay, thank you so much, Monica. We are so glad we are about this fruitful workshop. It was very interesting. Thank you so much. And we are waiting another workshop as well as this interesting workshop. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your response. I appreciate so much your work. I appreciate your responsibility about working with us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I hope to be in touch through social media. Have a
course.
great night.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.